So long as he doesn't try to be creepy old man, I guess it's all right.
I pull over after 12 hours into a rest stop. I tell her, back seat.
Well, Gerald just got forward all of a sudden.
Excuse you?
You can use the back seat. I'm sleeping up here.
Oh.
It's got bench seats front and back, so. And it's a pretty big car, so even Gerald can sort of get in there. He's used to this, you know. She can probably lay in the whole back seat like it's a bed.
Oh, yeah.
After 4 hours, 5 hours of a nap, you know, road sleep, because you're never going to get good sleep anyway. Hit the coffee machine in the rest stop. Hit the rest stop. Hit the coffee machine again. Get on the road.
Okay, you guys make your way to St. Augustine, Florida. All you have is a name and an address for this guy.
I want to see if there's a missing person that's been opened on him and see what I can learn about this person because they didn't tell me much.
I think we should split up.
Yeah, I think it's a little premature for that. If it is our kind of thing, I don't want you walking into a trap without backup. Secondly, I don't know much about this Mitchell guy.
I'm gonna cut away to Joe. Joe, it's been 2 days. The body is moved to Philly and kind of a rush put on the funeral. It's a small service. Not a lot of people show up. It's basically friends of the family, a couple of guys from the gym that you used to work out with and train with. They definitely show up to offer their support. There's some women that you don't recognize that show up for your ex-wife. You can tell, even though they've kind of fixed themselves up a little bit, they're call girls. They're call girls and strippers, but that doesn't really surprise you based on the lifestyle that your ex was leading when you chose to get a divorce from her. The service is respectful and goes pretty much until the point where the preacher says, is there anything that anybody wants to say regarding the young man who was taken from us too soon? And you're given the opportunity to go up in front of everybody and say your piece about your son.
Joe declines to do so. He
Okay.
figures if he says anything that his ex will probably go nuts, so he figured he'd just keep everything peaceful. He'd just let it go.
She still stares daggers into you. You can see her whispering to her friends, pointing over at you, but without you getting up center stage, it's not enough to trigger an outburst. The service concludes, and then there's the funeral procession to the cemetery. The pastor, he reads Psalm 23, yea though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. You are my rod and my staff, they comfort me, and da-da-da-da-da. And he finishes up with, and so we are born from the ashes, and to the ashes and dust we return, and your son's casket is then lowered into plot in a local graveyard. What do you have him put on the tombstone?
Beloved son.
As the body is getting lowered into the ground, as is the case with a lot of funerals, your ex-wife does lose it. She rushes over to you. She starts yelling, crying. It's indecipherable. You're not even sure she's making real words at this point in her grief. She was a giant piece of shit who didn't deserve to have your son living with her. But you can tell that in her own messed up way, she did love the kid. She didn't know how to express it in a responsible way. She didn't know how to express it in a healthy way. But her feelings were genuine. And she's beating her hand on your chest. She's blaming you. I don't know how you want to handle that.
I'd embrace her. You
Okay.
know, you know, she may be struggling with me. She may be fighting me, but I'd still embrace her. I mean, it was our son, and of course, I could tell she did love him in her own way.
Yeah.
You know, it was a loss. It was a big loss for both of us. So I would embrace her as best I could to keep me from getting beat up and to write something.
Joe, you take the high road, and there's a lot of respect that is given to you from the crowd. They kind of keep their distance. A couple of the girls, they come in and they put their hand on your ex-wife's back. They put their hands on your back. It's gonna be okay. There's a lot of consoling. They're crying too. This is a very sad funeral. This wasn't Grandpa had cancer at 92 after he lived a full life. No, this was your teenage son murdered violently before he had a chance to do anything. And that's what it feels like. So this is a very sad and somber occasion, but you handle it as best you can, given anybody in this situation.
After the funeral, of course, he would stay there for a while. Yes, he doesn't live in Billings, so he'd stay there for a while after his son was in the ground and everyone just left, and he'd just sit there and contemplate, you know, pretty much just going over in his mind. I mean, of all the ways to go, some creature that supposedly didn't exist artist, that lived in horror movies, actually did this. It's just incredible. And he just sits there and just ponders that and his loss before just going back to his hotel room and just sitting there.
Everybody slowly leaves. The preacher stays longer than the rest of the last person that leaves besides you. And then he puts his hand on your shoulder. He gives you his little Bible. And you probably don't hear a word that he says, or maybe you do, but he mentions a couple of passages and he puts little markers in his book as to places that you can go for comfort. I don't know if Joe is a religious man or not, but the pastor treats you as though you are. And that's the best that he can do before he leaves and leaves you to the silence of the graveyard. Back to Florida.
I mean, it's not like this is a life or death decision, but fine, let's do a drive-by.
Okay.
Mitchell's house. It's actually in it's like a middle class area.
Good to know. Okay, so why the hell did this guy go missing, and why the hell does he know hunters?
Eric, you got a phone call at the beginning of the session, and your mom was just in a really bad spot. She was having a mental breakdown, missing her fingers again. Like, not missing more fingers, she was missing the fingers that she had missed. So she just needed you. She needed you. And so you dropped everything like a good son and started to make your way over there. Halfway to Idaho, you get a phone call, and she's feeling a lot better, a lot more like herself. Gerald lets you know that there is a job, and it's in St. Augustine, Florida. So you're a day behind. I'll write you in when the time is right. Yeah, this episode is brought to you by Captain Morgan Cannonball Blast. It goes down smooth. It's gonna go down smooth right now. Gerald and Megan, do you think?
Well, I guess, yeah, let's talk to the wife then. You want to take the lead on this one? Megan, was it?
Knock on the door. The door opens. It's Eileen. Her eyes are red and puffy.
Are you Mrs. Cartwright?
Yes.
My name is Agent Carter.
Still?
I'm here with Agent
Chuck.
Agent Chuck, yep.
We're looking for your husband. Could we come in?
She nods her head. She's a mess. She's gonna need some help here. She lets you into her house. The house is a mess. There's a small child that won't stop screaming. She's sorry about the mess, and she puts a bunch of clothes that are on the couch and she moves them off to the side. The inside of this house does not look like it belongs in the neighborhood they're living in. I don't know where he went. It's not like him to just disappear. She's trying to get her act together. He said he called in for an extra shift. That was 3 days ago. Things got tough since his mother's cancer. She didn't have insurance because it was too expensive, and so he was working extra jobs. I haven't heard from him in 3 days.
Well, that's why we're here. We're gonna help you find him.
Yeah, buddy in the bureau called us up, and I owe him one, so we were in the area. If you could tell us anything about where you think he might be, where he hangs out.
Well, the last thing I knew, he went to his job.
And where was that exactly?
He works for Brunswick Transportation. They sell chemicals, like for cleaning. And she gives you an address. He worked so hard. He always told me he was at work.
Did your husband have any enemies or anyone who disliked him?
Well, Mitchell, no, he was so nice. Everybody liked him at work. He was always talking about how great they were. You start going through the house, and you're not so much looking for like typical. You're using your hunting skills pretty much at this point. You're not looking for what everyone else would be looking for. And one of the things that strikes you is it would be useful if you had a photo of Mitchell. Well, you're illegally searching their house, I guess, while Megan is talking to Eileen. You find a photo that's tucked away in a drawer of Mitchell, and inside the photo frame, you take the picture so that you can have it. You ask the wife, hey, can I have this? And she says, of course. You find some betting slips under there, and you find a piece of paper with the name Rico on it, with the betting slips.
Okay. All right, well, I discreetly pocket those.
It's, Rico Shoeshine.
Shoeshine. At this point, Gerald Conway is thinking he just got killed because he owed debts. This isn't even our kind of thing, but I guess I'll follow up.
She just keeps talking about how great he is and how, as a hunter, you're not getting very much useful information out of her.
Well, I will offer my condolences.
He's dead.
Well, he's missing, but we'll find him.
I don't promise that either. Yeah, I pat the one on the back. So I'm very sorry for your difficulties. And what no one knows is that I'm talking about Megan, not her missing husband. Go out to the car.
Well, looks like we have to check out this transportation place.
Not yet. I think we have a better lead.
Oh,
Reach into my pocket and I pull out the betting slips, hand them over, and the card with the name on it.
what are these?
The betting slips, racetrack. I know, I make a lot of money off that. One of the things that was in my trunk, there's literally a case of flip phones. They've not been activated because they're going out of style. I want to stop the local PD and see if I can't talk myself into a little bit of information, at least about this Rico fellow. And all the working that Mitchell was doing, that he probably has a history. He's probably not on the up and up. Because if he was working that much for a decent company, I highly doubt, well, they'd be in this situation.
Well, I want to go check out the transportation place and make sure he was actually working as much as he said he was.
Gerald, Megan wants to split up. Do you have any problems with that this time?
Yes, what is with you and splitting up?
Cover more ground.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand you, Young, and I don't really want to be demeaning, but we hunt monsters. Covering more ground isn't as important as staying alive.
Look, it's really simple. This address for this transportation company is literally like right up the street.
Fine, you know what? You take care of that. I'll have local PD. You'll probably just blow my cover anyway. Also, did we not talk about fake names?
Do you know how common of a name Carter is?
Just saying,
It's
why
like
use
Smith.
your own?
It's like Jones. And I don't have to remember it because it's my name. Duh.
Yeah, just wait until your face is caught on camera with your name. And someone like Eric can figure out who you are in like 5 seconds. Oh, and they're also a vampire.
I can handle a vampire thing.
Yeah, can all your friends from high school? I drop her off at the address of this business.
Okay.
Technically, all your friends from high school were military brats, so maybe they can.
Just her family couldn't handle it. Joe, in Philly, you take the evening and you're alone with nothing but your thoughts. Joe is in his room. It's got the sad music playing. The sad music that kind of starts out really quiet, but then gets louder and louder and increases in intensity. But it's juxtapositioned with him pretty much just sitting at a table, staring at a wall, looking more and more detached and distant. So we've got that angst and emptiness that have, for the moment, paralyzed Joe into not being able to do anything except sit and stare. But I just want you to know that cinematically, you should be imagining this as a very powerful scene.
which is juxtaposed by his description of it.
Eric, you're making good time, but you've still got a ways to go. We're gonna do the scene at Brunswick Transportation first because Gerald drops Megan off on his way to the police station.
I also go get a sandwich.
You get a sandwich as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I walk in like I'm looking for a job. She's dressed in like nice jeans, like a button-up shirt. Her hair's brushed, looks nice. It's not like pulled back or anything. It's loose. She's got her duffel
Okay.
because you never leave home without it. She walks up to the reception counter. Hi, my name is Megan. A friend of mine said that you guys might be hiring.
Maybe I can see. She's just about your age and obviously is not used to, interacting with things when she doesn't know what's going on. So if you could just wait a moment and I'll check with my supervisor.
Oh, sure. Could you tell them that I heard from Mitchell?
Okay, yeah. And you can tell too, she's fairly well endowed and wearing a shirt that plunges just enough to get the attention of and she says, give me just a moment. And she leaves and comes back with an older looking gentleman. I'd say a little bit younger than Gerald, but not by much. Kind of heavy set. He walks over. He's got a scowl on his face when he turns the corner, but then he sees you and that scowl kind of goes away and it's replaced by a grin that, if he wasn't so good at it, would be overtly creepy.
Okay.
And he walks up to you and puts out his hand, and it's calloused and rough, a little bit sweaty.
She shakes it just a little bit too eagerly.
Okay, I'm a Finnegan. Jake.
Finnegan.
Jake Finnegan.
Hi, Jake. My name is Megan, and my friend Mitchell. So I just moved here, right? And I'm looking for employment. And he said that you guys might be hiring.
Mitchell, huh? How did you know Mitchell?
Oh, okay. So he's not really like a friend. He's like a friend of a friend.
All right.
But so I don't know him that well. But like, I know he's got a wife. I know he's got a kid, and the kid is super cute, like super cute. But
All right. Yeah.
I'm gonna stay with him for a bit. But for as super cute as the kid is also super loud, like super loud.
Yeah.
I don't want to because I don't want to have to live with him and his super loud kid.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do, right? So I was hoping that maybe, someone, out of the kindness of their heart would, take care of me.
Well, he chuckles a little bit when you use the phrase "take care of me," but he reins back the comment that he was thinking about, because he'll take care of you. He's got money. He don't gotta look good. Well, the thing is that Mitchell hasn't worked here for almost 2 months.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Do you want to sit down and?
I would love to.
You want some coffee, maybe?
Yes, that would be fantastic.
All right, Julie, could you get us? Yes, boss. I'll get you 2 coffees. How do you take it?
Sugar and cream, please. I don't want my coffee to taste like coffee.
Oh, okay.
Orally.
She rolls her eyes and she's obviously jealous. She's not really liking that you're stealing her attention. The guy takes you to a private room and you get your 2 coffees. So, you said you're new in town.
Yeah, I mean, I just got in like a couple of days ago, and it's really different from where I went to school. So.
I mean, that must be really hard. You're so brave for coming out here.
Oh, thanks.
And you say you don't really have anywhere to stay yet?
No, not yet. But I mean, once I get a job, I can, get a nice little place to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to watch out down here. Florida sometimes can be a little tough to get your feet under you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, any place can be really tough until you get your feet under you. But, you really kind of have to believe in the kindness of strangers. People who will help you out, and
that must mean a lot to you.
Well, I mean, people are genuinely good, so.
No, I understand, and they don't get much better than I am. Really, I make a point of it to really help people when I see that there's a need.
You really look like a super helpful guy. That's part of the reason I decided to come here, because Mitchell told me once that you were a super helpful guy.
He leans over and puts his hands across the table on top of yours and looks into your eyes and say, Mitchell was a good worker, but it was really sad what happened.
Really? What happened? He didn't tell me anything.
It was tough for me, and he's still holding your hands, by the way, which is super creepy.
I can take him.
And so he was such a good worker until about 2 months ago. He started missing shifts.
Really?
Yeah, and then I started getting calls from some of the customers saying they thought they smelled alcohol on him. But I let it slide because he had a wife and a kid.
Because you're super nice husband.
Yeah, and he was a good guy. And problem is one day he got caught. He was trying to sell a tub of cleaner off the truck to somebody to pocket the money. And they called me and told him what was happening because they were above board. And I had to let him go. He came around a couple times since then. He was asking for his job back, but he said he owed some people some money here that he borrowed on the job from some of the workers. They were trying to help him out. And last I heard, he got mixed up with some guy named Rico down at Toco Hardware.
That's just too bad.
So what were you looking for? I have a driving position maybe that hasn't been filled yet.
Oh, I can totally drive once I get my license.
You don't have a license yet, sweetie?
No, I have people drive me places.
I don't think I have a job for you then.
Oh, that's too bad.
I mean, are you close to getting your license? Maybe we can put you on as a temp if you're close.
I just have to take the test again, I mean, 7th time's the charm, right?
No, really? Sorry.
Those counts didn't see me coming.
He's starting to, his body language is suggesting he's starting to question how much trouble you are worth. Well, I'll tell you what I can do for you. I will, and he motions for you to stand up. And as you start walking to the door, he puts his hand on your back to guide you out of the door. And he gives you a business card and says, why don't you call me as soon as you get your license and we'll do something for you.
That sounds awesome. You are the best. Thank you so much.
And he goes, oh, of course. And he does it. He moves in for that creepy old man hug. And he gives you...
She steps back and goes right out the door.
Oh, she dodged the creepy old man hug. And on the way out, you can hear the secretary smack him on the back of the head.
Yeah.
That's what you've done. Tiff, well done. Gerald, you make your way to the police station.
Comfortable. All right. Let me mix it up a little bit here. Go through my badges, find the proper one, walk in. CIA. I actually make sure I even do, this is a bigger city, so they may have more protocol and stuff. I actually give one of my contacts in my network a heads up they may be getting a call because I'm going to use them as my supervisor. Okay. Standard business.
Yeah.
But let's make sure I have my ass covered on this one.
You make your way in. You carry yourself like you belong there.
I get my CIA sweatsuit out.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Yeah, I'm working a case in the area, and there's a couple of people that might be related, and I need to see if they have any priors. I need to do a background check on my one, everything you have locally on Mitchell Cartwright and someone, and this is probably an alias, a Rico, what's it, Shoeshine?
Sure. Could I just see your identification, please?
Yep, here you go. Badge.
She looks at it, and she types a couple things into the computer, and then she gives you your identity back, your identification back.
You're a person again.
And she says, if you'll just give us a moment, I'll have a detective stop by to help you with what you need.
Absolutely.
And she points you to the coffee machine, or the coffee maker, and Gerald gets himself a nice steaming hot cup of joe, and he waits for a detective to come over.
I still got half my sandwich from the deli.
Do you work on that in the station?
Yep. Oh, I nuke it in the microwave, and it's like ham and gorgonzola.
Okay, so you get like a rubbery half sandwich to go with your lukewarm day-old coffee at the police station.
Every now and then I hustle somebody so I can have a steak, but whatever, this gets you by.
Okay, so a detective stops by to see you.
I'm investigating a sort of cartel situation here. I don't think either of them are directly related, but they're two of the leads I have, so whatever you have could really help me out.
Sure. And he sets you up with, right here, Agent. You can look up whatever you need.
All right, thank you. Oh, shit. All right.
I'm going to make a couple of tech use rolls here to see if you can use a database.
I just keep hitting 1 and 0 and nothing's happening.
So Mitchell Cartwright, you don't find anything. And you get the blue screen of death when you try to look up Rico Shoeshine.
Good job, you broke it.
It's all right.
I see.
C0. No. Oh. Well, crap. I look around. Does the PD have interns? I need a tech person. Excuse me, sir.
You can flag someone down.
Yeah.
Younger guy.
Could you give me a hand with this, please? I'm not sure exactly what happened.
Up again.
Yeah.
He sits down and he starts typing a few things, and he hits a key a bunch of times, and he tries to type a few other things. He looks over at you.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
I'm not exactly sure what happened. To be completely honest with you, when I joined the agency, there wasn't a whole lot of this in my day-to-day. We had people that did this for us, and I usually have a partner who would be doing this part of the work, but he had a death in the family, and they didn't have anyone else nearby, so I'm a little out of my element.
Eric's mom just died.
Oh, wow, I didn't know I had that power. And the other agent that they're sending to me just got hit by a bus.
Damn.
No, I get it. My grandpa, he's no good with computers either. So, well, we're gonna get a different computer.
Okay, yeah. I think I got malware in this one, and all I did was hit like 4 keys. No, I'm willing to play. I mean, I don't know tech, and that's one of my weaknesses. He knows it, so I use my con game. Use my strength against my weakness. I get somebody to do the job for me, and then
you can certainly get the guy. Now here, there's a pro and a con to using the con as opposed to being a pro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of how that sentence turned out. You can very easily get somebody to do what you need them to do.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot very easily get them to do anything that seems out of the ordinary.
Oh, that's fine. I'm going to use con game to substitute this person's tech use score for my tech use score. I also just sort of grease the whole thing up with when he's looking everything up, and I just like kind of I set my badge down like next to him, and I'm looking over his shoulder and looking at the information. I'm like, oh, this is also classified. Don't tell anybody about it.
I just fixed the network. The information on Mitchell Cartwright is not a lot. Couple parking tickets. The guy looked like he was pretty clean. About 4 weeks ago, he got brought in on a drunken disorderly, but because it was his first offense, he was released without any charges. There was a missing persons filed on him from an Eileen Cartwright. That was a day and a half ago.
Okay.
As far as the police database goes, there's no useful information on Mitchell Cartwright.
Okay.
Rico Shoeshine, you do find some information on. He's got a long rap sheet, but it's not a long rap sheet of things that he has done. It is a long rap sheet on things that he is suspected to have been involved in. He is suspected to be a member of the local area organized crime Italian mafia.
Okay.
He is suspected of running numbers. He is suspected of racketeering. He is suspected of assault, suspected of accessory to murder, and so on and so on and so on. He's been under surveillance quite a bit, not only by the local department but by the FBI. He's had his phone tapped, and he's currently working at a place called Toco Hardware, where he is officially and legally the owner and runs a hardware business. His real name is Rico Giovanni. That's AKA Rico Shoeshine.
All right, can you just print all this up for me?
Yeah, and he prints you like all of it.
Yeah, on both. Yeah, on both of them. And if you could find me a manila envelope. In fact, you know what? Actually, I can find that. Just don't put me near a printer; they catch fire.
Yeah.
I literally give the copy machine a wide berth as I go ask someone for a manila envelope. That's all I got. Then I go looking for my agent in training.
You grab a refill on the way out. You guys hole up in a motel. It's not hard. There's plenty of them around there. What's the sleeping arrangement?
Well, I'm not paying for another room for her.
Then you know what? We slept in the car, but I get the bed, old man.
Well, I wasn't going to trust you to sleep in my car.
So Gerald takes the couch.
Couch give me a backache. I sleep on the floor.
I need like 50 extra pillows.
I throw the pillows from the couch on the bed.
Joe,
Okay, I'm
you've
going to fix my
been
headset.
staring at the wall for about 8 hours. You've had half a sandwich, the other half of it's still on the counter. It's stale. You've had a couple cups of coffee, but other than that, it's been a very quiet and soulful day of searching for meaning in life. Where's your character at right now? What do you do? What are you thinking?
Well, he's still trying to make sense of it all.
You keep replaying
Actually-
in your mind when you turned over the body of your son. You just can't seem to get it out of your head. The feel of the flaps of flesh that weren't where they were supposed to be, folding over your hand as you spun him over. The look on his eyes as they were glassy, and the spark that you used to know was gone and replaced with what you would see at the fish market on bargain day. You remember the feel of wetness on your hands and how that wetness was cold, and no matter how much you tried to wipe it away, it just seemed to spread it around. And you remember distantly, almost as if it didn't matter, the farmer who was pointing his gun at you and screaming hateful things and obscenities. And you would think that everything after that would be what stuck with you as well, getting captured, getting locked up, getting accused of murder, but none of that seems to matter. You get to the point where the farmer starts to yell, and then you find yourself thinking back again, running up to that hole, as if you play it in your head enough times that maybe this time you'll be able to remember it differently.
I take out my phone and I give Gerald a call.
Gerald, your phone rings.
Answer the phone, old man.
Fuck, he gave me the wrong number.
Gerald has officially died in his sleep.
Yeah,
Tragic.
you get about 5 rings in, and then you start to get that rage just for a moment of why would he even give me his number if he wasn't going to answer it?
You reached the voicemail of Gerald Conway. Hello?
Hey, Gerald, this is Joshua Daniels.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Hey, would you still happen to be in the area?
No, actually, I had to rush all the way down to Florida on a case. Why? Someone called in a favor, missing person. Not sure if it's my kind of thing or not, but I told him I'd look into it. Are you all right? I mean,
Yeah, I just have some questions, and I'm pretty sure that you can give me some answers. But, is it Florida? We're at in Florida.
St. Augustine.
Still gonna be there tomorrow?
Yeah, I probably will be. Are you thinking of coming down here?
Yeah, I can do that. If you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
I have nothing but time on my hands. So yeah, nice drive to Florida sounds pretty good. But,
Okay, yeah, then absolutely. I mean, be careful with the driving. It's a long trip. Don't push yourself. Take a break if you need to. I'll be reachable.
We get together for a nice seafood dinner.
I should probably see you in about a day or so.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Do you split up the trip like a responsible human being, or do you drive there in one stretch like a self-destructive man?
One stretch.
Okay. Any substances besides caffeine?
A little rum and coke.
Taking a stretch down a freeway with a couple drinks in you, it's not your first choice, but you can get that done. Back to Florida. Gerald, Megan.
Apparently, our friend Mitchell here hasn't been to work in about 2 months.
I'm not surprised. I mean, he's obviously been gambling. That leads people generally to theft. I've got all this stuff I've been going through. Rico Giovanni.
Oh,
So, I learned this about this guy. Might want to do some light reading, because we may or may not have to speak with him. And he may or may not have a bunch of gun-toting muscle with him.
you think this is something we should probably do together, right?